hear me okay? And coming through. I don't like standing behind this thing, so I'm going to stand up here by Jonah. And before I do, can we just give a big round of applause for everybody who helped put this event on? Tom, Maria. Before I start, I want to dedicate this story to my mom. We lost my mom about 3 years ago, and she taught me a lot of things. One of the most important things was she taught me to be open to new experiences and new people, and I just can't thank her enough for that. So how many of you grew up in Cincinnati? How many of you are Cincinnati natives like me? Most of us here, right? So, like Mayor said, my name is Jim Schwaller. I grew up near Forest Park in Springfield Township, and to be honest, I didn't even know where Madeira was until I was in high school. we were on the other side of town. I didn't make it over here a lot, but I'm glad I'm here.
Do you have a green card when you came with them?
I did. I grew up in a pretty traditional Midwestern family, but as I've grown and learned more about the world, I learned that I'm not real sure what that means. And so let me explain what I mean when I say it. So our traditions in our family, we had Thanksgiving with turkey and mashed potatoes, big family sitting around the table. For Christmas, we had an even bigger family gathering with lots of lights, ornaments, a big inflatable Santa in the front yard, lots of kids running around. For the 4th of July, it was always itchy grass in Sharonville, watching fireworks, and always on Labor Day, for the first 18 years of my life, did we go down to Riverfest and watch the fireworks on the barges. A very, very Cincinnati fail. As I got older, I wanted to explore the world and experience different things. I moved down south. I went to college, eventually to grad school, and then I made my way out to Los Angeles, California, where I met my incredible wife, Maria. And if you remember Maria from the first storyteller, Maria is Chinese American. She shared her story in the first. And as we were falling in love, one of the things I really, really enjoyed about dating her and then eventually getting married and getting to know her family was learning more about her culture and where she came from. And for me, a kid from Cincinnati, was really intriguing, was exciting. It was things that I had never experienced before, and I got to learn so much about. But in the excitement, there was also a lot of nervousness. And I was always afraid I would mess things up, that I might eat something the wrong way. And even to this day, my mother-in-law still makes my meals for me after, how long, 18 years of being together and dating, 17 years? And my mother-in-law will still put the food together because she thinks I can't do it. So I was always afraid I'd make the wrong joke. The family still to this day teases me about being the only white person in the family. But eventually, I won them over and I became part of the family and I became part of their traditions. So when you think of Thanksgiving, what do you think of? Shout a few things out.
Family.
Family, definitely. Turkey. Football. Yeah. Food is the big one for me, right? Absolutely. So I remember my first Thanksgiving with Maria. We went over to her uncle's house, and all I knew was that he was very, very strict, and I had to be on my best behavior. Now, I was in my late 20s, so I don't know why I still felt that way, but I did, and that's how I took it. And I remember walking into the house, and I met about 100 people that I had never met before, many who didn't speak English. And I remember looking over the spread of food and seeing noodles and rice and a variety of just delicious Chinese dishes, all very delicious, but not what I was used to. Not my tradition. Right. The Thanksgiving, yeah. And I was really enjoying myself, but at the same time I was missing my family. My dad's here tonight. Missing my mom, missing my turkey, my mashed potato, just a little bit. Until Maria took me into the kitchen and introduced me to her aunt, and then showed me the roughly 800 egg rolls that she had made for Thanksgiving dinner. And I would love to tell you that was an exaggeration, but this woman made hundreds and hundreds of egg rolls every Thanksgiving. These were not just everyday egg rolls. As soon as I bit into the first egg roll, I realized it was a piece of absolute and pure joy that this woman had poured her heart and soul into, and I stood there and probably ate 20 in a row. And I started to miss my turkey and mashed potatoes a little bit less with each one. The next year, as Thanksgiving came closer, I asked, "Are we going to Uncle's house again?" And of course we were. But more importantly, would there be egg rolls? There were, of course, probably 1,000 this time. Warm and flaky and just full of joy. Heavenly, absolutely heavenly. And with each year, the thoughts of my turkey and mashed potatoes slowly were replaced by thoughts of egg rolls. And to this day, my kids can attest to this, our family often doesn't have turkey on Thanksgiving, but we always have egg rolls. So as I learned more and more about Maria and her family, I was introduced to more and more celebrations, and eventually to one that has become really near and dear to my heart, the Lunar New Year. I remember the first time that and celebrating together, I honestly had no idea what I was in for, and I didn't even know really what we were celebrating. So Maria took me to her parents' house on the eve of the Lunar New Year. When I arrived, I was given a bowl of shark fin soup. Real shark fin soup. Now, we shouldn't eat real shark fin soup anymore. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it really brought me closer to her family to share this truly special dish with them. Next, and this was before we were married, each of the married adults greeted me by saying, "Gung hei fat choi," and handing me a small red envelope. It's traditional that non-married people give a red envelope full of money to all of the non-married people who are younger than them. This is like the best holiday. Finally, our family sat around and we played what we call the animal game. It's also known as lucky chess. So in this game, you have a stack of quarters or chips or coins in front of you, and you bet them on different animals. There's a water container up here. And one of the participants in the game rolls the dice, and whatever animals come up, you win quarters, and whatever animals or the water container don't come up, the person who rolled gets to eat the rest of the month. Now, this is not a quiet game at all. So what I really remember from that first time, this first Lunar New Year, was for hours sitting with two of my nieces on my lap, and I have three, and they would just rotate around and just yelling, screaming, "Rooster, rooster, bow, bow, crab, crab," and just laughing, all this joy and love, and it was amazing. And so when we lived in LA, I always looked forward to Lunar New Year, and it became one of my very favorite holidays. So when we moved here, Maria and I really, really wanted to make sure we didn't lose all of that joy and that love that came with the Lunar New Year. So every year on Lunar New Year, we make some chow mein. Really, Maria makes some chow mein. And hopefully some egg rolls. Sometimes I get bonus egg rolls on Lunar New Year. And we sit around and we play the little game. And we've started a new tradition of inviting a family to come and join for the Lunar New Year. And we get to share some of our traditions, which I absolutely love. Jimmy, you want to come up and help me with this part?
What way Lunar New Year?
When is it?
Yeah.
It's usually either the end of January or beginning of February, so it moves around a little bit.
The pendulum.
Yeah. So for us, the holidays really start around Diwali, Thanksgiving time, which is this time of year, and then they go through the Lunar New Year, which is great. So we get an extended holiday. So being in LA with Maria, I was really, really immersed in her family, and my family was far away. And I was really immersed in their cultures and their traditions and their celebrations, and I really tried to embrace them. I loved it. The food was amazing. Traditions were fun. It was fantastic. And it never struck me for a long time that Maria might also want to learn some of my tradition. So growing up, Maria didn't celebrate Christmas. Her family was Buddhist, but as she became an adult, it became one of her favorite holidays. And so as she was learning about me, I wanted to introduce to her some of the traditions from my family. So one of the most important traditions in my family was an ornament that represented each year. So this is my very first ornament. It's roughly 4 or 5 years old. More than I want to admit. This is the ornament from when we moved to Madeira to represent our move. And this is our ornament from COVID. So for those in the back, we all have masks on, rolled toilet paper, and some hand sanitizer. So every year, each of us gets an ornament. And so it was that was our tradition. So when Maria and I got married, I was so excited to share this with her. We decided that we would save it for when we were first married. It was our first Christmas together as a married couple. And I thought for weeks about what ornament I should get her. And so eventually I landed on a camera because she was into photography. She had started a photography company that year, and she was so excited about it. And she's incredibly talented, by the way. She really is. And so I scoured the internet and I found this camera. Found this camera that looked as much like her beloved Canon Mark IIID as it could. Right, so I worked hours and hours on this. And when we exchanged gifts, I would love to show you the $2 penguin that Maria bought from Target for, I have no idea why. So it's been lost to history. And it took a little practice, but Maria eventually got into the tradition and really loved it. And it was really highlighted for me when so I flew across the country with the kids when we moved here from California, and Maria came in our minivan a few days later. We drove across the country. And when she got here, the first thing she showed me that she had gotten during our drive across the country was a ornament from Arches National Park. Nice. She wanted that to represent her trip and our journey and our So just this past weekend, we put up our Christmas tree, which is now full of memories. We told the kids a few stories, including the one about Mommy driving across the country. So, like I said, Maria and I have 2 kids now, Jimmy and Evie. And we love these traditions. We eat egg rolls for Thanksgiving, play the animal game, and our Reddit who lives every Lunar New Year. And like I said, just a few days ago, we hung all our ornaments on the tree. We told stories. And our family traditions really brought together the best of both of us. And it took time, but as we learned about each other, we really found the best ways to celebrate was come together. And each year, these traditions help bring us even closer. And I wanted to tell this story because I think that's really true about all of us. The more we take time to understand each other, the more we can celebrate together. And the traditions become a lot less about repetition and doing them every year, and a lot more about spending time with the people you love. And of course, about egg rolls.
I do understand.